Good evening and welcome to the Bangalore International Center. BIC is a neutral and inclusive platform for informed conversation, arts and culture. We're a privately enabled public space and we host close to 350 events, more than 350 events a year. Request you to go to our website and look up all the events that we do and sign up for our newsletter so you can keep in touch with all the amazing things we're doing here. Today's event is playing at level 43 in partnership with Go Sports Foundation. We're lucky to have, feels great to say this, world number 1 and Australian Open champion Rohan Bopanna with us today. He'll be getting a more formal introduction soon, but I felt, can't keep a champion in the shadows. At an age where life gives you ready-made excuses like back pain and knee pain to stop exercising, Rohan's making us all look bad and going out there and winning Grand Slam titles. But hey, at least I can say I'm level 48 now, so that's a good thing. But in all seriousness, a tennis career, particularly in the top echelons, is a brutally lonely, difficult exercise. A lot of sacrifices made by family, and we're privileged to have Rohan's family here with us. A big round of applause for them. But today we hope to really get a sense for Rohan's journey, how he got here, and maybe share it with him. May I invite Deepthi Bopaya, CEO of Go Sports, to introduce our panelists today, Nandan Kamath and Rohan Bopanna. Enjoy your evening.
Hello. Wow, very good evening to each one of you. I'd like us to give one more big round of applause to this champion. Oh, we have some standing ovation. So apart from the champion that we all know, I think I've had the good fortune and privilege of also calling him a very dear friend. And I think this audience has lots of well-wishers, friends, and family. And I think a lot of the discussions that we're going to have is going to talk about how lonely this journey can be, but how amazing it can be when you have a support system. And that's really what we've attempted to build at Go Sports Foundation over the last 15 years. We've just turned 15. And over the last few years, what we've attempted to do is to create an enabling ecosystem and a support team around the athlete. Rohan, like we all see, has been very fortunate to have family and friends, but there have been times when things have been down. There have been times when he's even attempted to stop the game, retire, but his resilience is something that we will hear about. So I have a very small story about how amazing Rohan Bopanna is. So this was in 2012. Rohan very, very graciously got us Roger Federer's racket to auction. So thank you, Rohan. It kind of changed the fortunes of Go Sports Foundation on that day. But what's really interesting is it was at the same time when he was pursuing his own game, his own sport, and he could have used that funding if he were to auction it for himself. I think that is a true champion to enable other champions in his own journey. So without taking too much time, we're here after the event. We would love to, we are a Bangalore-based foundation. A lot of you have been well-wishers and supporters of us. We're really looking forward to the Paris Olympics. We work with over 250 Olympians and Paralympians. So I'm not going to take too much time, but over to Nandan and to Rohan. Nandan, a lot of you would already know, Nandan is a former cricketer. He's a Rhodes Scholar. He's a lawyer, and he's also the trustee and managing trustee and co-founder of Go Sports Foundation. So we're going to have a really nice interaction with all of them. Thank you. Thanks, Nandan.
Thank you, Deepthi, and welcome, Rohan. Very conventional to have these types of chats over a cup of coffee, but we are having it over a cup of Australian Open today. So thank you for bringing your cup.
Thank you, Nandan. I mean, it's very different kind of chat, for sure. Proud to have this, right here, and really looking forward to having this wonderful chat with you today. Thank you for having me.
Rohan. So I think we have on screen you playing as a youngster. We have you at Melbourne. So trace that journey from Madhapur to Melbourne. It's the story I like to call Madhapur to Melbourne, Australia. Tell us about that journey and what you remember of it.
To start off, both the places have great coffee. These beautiful courts at Madhapur Tennis Club. It's actually that's where the dream began. These tennis courts at Madhapur were built by 8 founding members, from that part of the club. One of them being my dad. I don't know if my dad lets me to share the story, but then he did say that all his friends were just hanging around after school near the bridge. And one day my grandfather was driving down, and he said, and he came home, he saw them just after school, just hanging around in front of the bridge, in front of someone's house the other day. So one day he came back and he told my dad, I know it's great that you guys all hang out together, but, I have an image here. So, I'll give you a small piece of land. Why don't you start a, club there where you guys can all, enjoy and relax. And that's kind of, as far as I remember from that story, that's where it kind of started the journey. These members set up the tennis court. There were a few members who kind of knew tennis, played tennis. I think my dad learned most of his tennis through a book. Back then, there was only one continental grip for tennis. So he learned tennis the traditional way. And I think once all the members got married, they taught their wives tennis as well there. And, my mom being one of them who picked up that sport. So, and as this club grew with a few other members, and of course, I was born in the year 1980. My sister, a few years before that, who's sitting right here, Rashmi. We used to go to the club every single day, and every time after school, there's a fun thing to go and hang out with some friends. And we used to see all the members playing. I used to watch my parents playing as well, and started off as just going to the tennis court, wanting to run around everywhere, and became a ball kid. And that's when I think the initial stage of starting the love for the sport, kind of began. Going from there, slowly, I think my dad said he's going to introduce me to this sport. Not only introducing me to the sport, but he started taking me to the tennis court before my class as well, before going to school. So that means waking up at 5 o'clock, and he had this routine to say, you need to start going for a run. Before that's kind of a warm-up. And the run was about 4 kilometers. And, in Coorg, I'm sure many of you all have been to Coorg, there's no really street lights. So at 5 in the morning, when you run, and all you can, hear are those lovely birds chirping, and occasionally some dogs chasing after you. And, but somehow I made our driver, I convinced him to run with me. Maybe I just told my dad and mom that I can't do this, and they said, okay, they can. I think I said if someone can run with me, and then I said the driver's interested, and my dad, I think, convinced him to run with me. So my dad said, as long as you can play tennis, and he saw the interest, he said, as long as you set an alarm up, you wake up, I'll take you to the tennis court, because he saw there was an interest in that. And then my mom made this secret drink. Coming to that, a secret drink. It was a cold glass of milk with a lot of raisins, nuts, and a little bit of jaggery in it. Is it jaggery, Mom? Something. I don't know.
It's secret.
Yeah, it's a secret of hers. And that was kind of after my run, kind of the health drink. My mom just gave me, and then we went to the tennis court, and my dad, used to play with me, and then slowly he realized I was also starting getting a little better, and then he started feeding me, because hitting was not really working. But the toughest part was I think that unfortunately I didn't have anyone my age to really compete with. There were a few friends who were playing tennis, who were picking up tennis, but they were going to school, but then coming back only playing with me during the holidays. And I still remember a very fond memory that I was going for a tournament and there was no place to practice, and it was in the month of June, July, and we have heavy rains in Coorg. One of my uncles, he told my dad, let him come to the coffee drying yard, which is on cement, and he said, we'll create a net and you guys can play tennis there. And there were so really special moments of trying to find a way. It was not only my parents but also the members around there who were very encouraging. I think that was initial love for the sport. I mean, it really made a massive difference, because no matter who came there, which kid came there, or which member came there, they always encouraged them to play tennis or any other sport. I think that was a great culture in that club, the Madhapur club, and I think, starting a little bit of that, that is where my initial love for this sport really began.
Beautiful. And 43 years and 10 months and a few days into that journey, like your world turned upside down. What was that week like, and what has it been like since?
Those 4 days, it's still very fresh. It better be fresh in my memory. It started off with my 500th win. I actually thought there was one more match to win apart from the 500, but then the ATP media team came and told me, no, it actually is 500 because we missed out one Davis Cup match of yours. So technically it is 500. So, it was a big moment. If you have played 500 matches is a lot of matches, a lot of time, and winning 500 matches was significant amount of time. So I felt really proud to have sustained this career for such a long time. And right after that, there were a couple other teams which unfortunately ended up losing, who were ranked higher than me. And I knew that if I had to win the next quarterfinal match, I would finish world number one. And of course, there was a talk at the locker room. A lot of the players knew it as well, and then some of them obviously joking, I hope you don't have any pressure, going in
You
there.
said some other people unfortunately lost.
Unfortunately lost.
For them.
Unfortunately they lost. I mean, I don't, expect them to lose, so, So right after that, we started the quarterfinal match. 10 minutes into the quarterfinal match, there were bubbles on the tennis court, and we had to move courts, from Show Court 3 to Kia Arena. And first time, I think, in Australia, I'd faced that because they maintained the court extremely well, and I don't think I've ever seen, bubbles on the hard courts. It happens sometimes when there's heavy rain and there's the following day, there's a lot of sun, there's moisture can get in, and they create that. But the tournament was pretty good at it. I think we went in for about 10-15 minutes and right back into the court. So obviously right now you have played a couple of games and you're thinking about it still. And then the worst is when you have downtime to think about something. When you're going and you're playing the match, you go with your instincts. and it was very different. Something, you stop for a bad light or rain. It is similar, but not for something like this. But anyways, we continued. We went to the Kia Arena. I think, thankfully, the entire crowd there were a lot of Aussie people, a lot of Indians as well who moved over, and we had a great support. Having that win right there, and we won that point, and I knew, I finished number one. I think I had my, finger up, pointing to my box, and I think Matt didn't know. Matt actually only when we were talking, when I said yes, I'm going to be number one. It's the funny thing in tennis is both of us have equal points. So technically he should be also number one, even though the ranking says he's two. The system is such that he had played 3 more tournaments more than me, and I had made the same amount of points in less number of tournaments. Hence, I ended up being number one ranked, for that.
We're okay with that, Rohan.
Yeah. Thank you. And it was a very strange moment because not in between a tournament you get that kind of overwhelming messages. It's never happened before, so it was incredible. And it was not even 24 hours later I had to play, the semi-finals, and we were staying in an apartment. My in-laws were there as well, and we were going there, and I think they were getting ready to sleep, but my adrenaline was still kicking in, and I was not really falling asleep. But I had to force myself to get sleep because there was such a big important match the next day. And then that match was a roller coaster, because when anytime you play against guys, singles players, they have absolutely nothing to lose because it is their second event. They play with like free money, I say it. So, for them, it doesn't really matter whether they win that match or, lose, because their priority is fully into singles. So it is very tricky. There's no game plan. You can really go into that match. You have to constantly find ways to adapt at this juncture, at that situation. And, the guys were returning so hard. I mean, I don't know if you could tell by watching, but at that tennis court, that ball was coming at extremely fast pace when when the returns were coming. So it was very tough, very tricky to constantly adjust, but somehow we pulled it through. I think that tie break, that is the, I think, X factor we had in playing together for a long time, and they playing for the first time together. I think when you come to close moments, it does help, a team who has played together. And I think Maddie and me had played a lot of super tie breaks, in the last year, and starting in Adelaide. So I think that got us the edge. And then I'm back in the final, and I still have tons of messages, tons of calls. I mean, you want to reply. I mean, I'm a guy who always have responded to whoever has messaged, and I really feel that, this is a time in a journey when, you got to appreciate everything. And then, ended up winning my first, Grand Slam title. So... But it felt like 25, 30 years in those 4 days. So these these backbends and everything keep me calm, and that's why my yoga teachers here, Mohan is here, Jaya is not here, unfortunately, but I think that doing all this keeps me calm, I think, and takes, got me through that.
And also backstage, you were telling me you get lots of calls just by chance. You picked up one of them.
Yeah, it finished the quarterfinal match. I finished with my physio, finished my massage, and suddenly my phone rings, and I don't know what happened. I happened to pick up that call, and they say, "Hello, Rohan sir." So I said, "Yes." I'm calling from Delhi. They want to know whether we want to have a consent for whether you want the Padma Shri award or not. So I said, yes, absolutely. I love it. But I'm just so thankful that I picked up that call. There are numerous calls which came in, but I don't know what the timing, but I guess, sometimes it's just a matter of time. And yeah, it was, I'm glad I picked up that call, to be honest.
So Rohan, I saw one of your recent interviews. You said you are a fan of Rohan Bopanna. What makes you a fan of Rohan Bopanna?
Nandan, you're not listening to too many interviews. I know, where do you have this time to listen to all this? No, I think the fan aspect being of the personal growth of I think, as you see in this picture, from that first day, the constant belief which I took when I went on the tennis court, no matter who was there, which opponent was there, I think that belief was always there. I never even once doubted that, when I stepped on the tennis court, I'm going to lose this match. Even in 2006, when I was playing against Roger Federer in Halle, I was playing a singles match against him, extremely nervous, no question on it. But the minute I stepped on the tennis court and I hit that first ball for warm-up, all the nerves went away. Because I was in a familiar territory and I knew what I had to bring into that match. Yes, of course, I played against world-class athletes, but I still, from a very young age, even though I lost maybe 6-love also in many matches, or, whether it's 6-1, 6-2, whatever it may be, but still I always stepped onto that court thinking that I'm going to win that match. And I think that made me a fan of myself, of having that belief.
Also clearly a fan of the single-handed backhand right from the early age, and you maintained that. So.
I think when I started off, I don't think there were many players using double-handed backhand, and I think my dad also learned tennis, learning from the book a single-handed backhand, and I'm glad I stuck to that. Even though when I was in Pune for my training, I did try sometimes the double-handed, and thank God I didn't change to that. Yeah.
So that transition, small town dreams, moving to Pune, bigger dreams, tougher challenges. Talk us through those years where you had to be in training to dream bigger.
Yeah, extremely heartbreaking and difficult. Heartbreaking, I would say, because my parents, they took me to a lot of academies across the country, which were top academies who were offering scholarships. We went and did a lot of trials, but unfortunately never got selected. Every time they came back and said I was not good enough, that maybe next year, if there's chance. But the problem with next year is that you are also growing older. They're looking at younger athletes. At that point of time, you don't know, maybe my parents kind of knew that. But when I was 14 years old, the academy in Pune called the Nandan Bal Tennis Academy. So Nandan had come to Mysore for a tournament there, and I think my parents went and spoke to him, and then he also said similar thing in terms of he can definitely come and train there, but unfortunately we can't give him a scholarship, but whatever the fees are, but at least there was a chance to go and train with the best players. A lot of the other academies took only scholarship players, but not anyone outside to go and train with the best of the players. So I think that is where my Pune journey began, and I remember clearly my parents telling me that we'll send you to Pune, but we are not going to travel with you. It is extremely expensive. Anytime they came for a tournament, you had to buy 3 tickets, no matter where you went to. I mean, so that was an added journey, and you always in one hotel room. It's not like other players, you can share the expenses. So they said, we'll send you there, but you need to, go and enjoy your, journey in Pune. I immediately said yes, because it was freedom from Coog, and it was like going to a new place and enjoying. I don't know what was in store, not knowing what was there. So yeah, my parents took me there, and the first day they took me to a bicycle shop, and they said this is going to be a mode of transport. So I was staying in a hostel. This lovely gentleman called Sahasrabuddhe, he was running a PG, and unfortunately he's no more, but I stayed 5 years, almost 4 years there with him, but I stayed in that PG, and the rule of the tennis academy was 5:45 fitness started. And if you miss fitness, you could not play tennis the entire 2 sessions. One at 9 o'clock, 9 to 11, and then 2 to 4. we had 2 sessions of tennis. And this I'm talking about in 94. So there were no phones, no TV in the PG. There was nothing. There was nothing else to do, and I was not a big fan of reading either. I never went to school, so I don't know. I mean, I tried to tell them when I was young not to send me to school, but they kept forcing me to go. I always wanted to be playing sports. So that time in Pune, I think, really changed me a lot. I mean, in terms of first of all, waking up at 5 o'clock. Thankfully, I was used to kind of waking up there, but I couldn't really complain because I wanted to play tennis. So I was riding about 4 or 5 kilometers to fitness and then coming back for tennis and then going in the afternoon again for tennis. So on average, it was about 14 to 15 kilometers a day. And I did that for 4 or 5 years. Just constantly doing that. There were occasionally some other students in the PG came, maybe they had a moped, also occasionally for 2-3 months that, benefited. But what that kind of change is that no matter what the fitness coach said or what the tennis coach said, I constantly followed that program. I never doubted them. And the biggest thing, I think, for what my parents, I think, also did, I mean, I know parents here, is that they stayed away from the tennis program and they just let the coaches do what they knew best. The fitness, what I did back then to what goes on now, I don't think there is anything I follow from that point of time. But unfortunately, I don't think they knew anything else or what the right kind of tennis training was. Everyone ran 4 rounds of the tennis ground. I did maybe 30 minutes of skipping, did medicine ball throws, which was good, but not tennis specific, kind of training. But just doing that week in, week out, playing with, different players, playing with better players, slowly started improving my game. There was Nandan Bal, Balachandran and Narendra, 3 coaches who were there in the academy. And Balachandran is one of my directors at my academy now, and he was the most strict coach there. He was always there before the coaching started, and he always left after once the coaching was done. His discipline was really good, which I liked. I think I came from a disciplined family, strict family rather. Which I think I needed. I mean, if some of the stories, non-tennis stories, if I had to share, you'll know why they were strict. But that, I think, kind of built that perseverance, built that hunger to wanting to do more, wanting to reach, on better heights and keep growing, actually.
And then you upgraded your wheels?
Yes, I think in 1999, when I was 19 years old, I called my dad and I told him, you know what, I can't do this bicycle anymore. I need a motorbike. Even though I honestly did not know how to ride a motorbike. I'd ridden my friends couple of times. I think my cousin Pramod, he's here. He has to have a Yamaha RX here, and I rode it couple of times. Maybe the front wheel came up a few times, not knowing how to ride it. But he got me a motorbike, a Hero Honda Splendor. What I must say is I still have it today, and I still ride it in Coorg. So it is in proper condition. So I think, so that really was a nice blessing, gift, to these legs, which really needed that. Yeah.
Wonderful. We'll just play a short video for all of you before we move to the next section.
It was 1975. My parents were on their honeymoon when they saw their first Grand Slam match. Mom says Dad couldn't keep his eyes off the ball, even for a single point. I was born 5 years later, but my fate was decided that day at the centre court in Wimbledon. This is where it all started. Under foggy mountains and tall trees, the land of coffee and spice, the place I call home. I was exactly 10 when my parents handed me a tennis racket. They secretly hoped one day I would play for India. Back then, I lost a lot. I learnt a lot. And then, I played for India. Many times. The applause was deafening. The tears were real. You see, a small town person will feel like they can do anything. We had very little when I started, but my dad refused to give up. He invented a whole new way of training for me. I was chopping wood and climbing ropes, training before school and after school. I remember being so tired, all I wanted to do was sleep. Even today, I long for that luxury. But then I remember the painful loss in the finals of the Australian Open, the narrowly missed medal at Rio Olympics, the hopes of an entire nation. Yes, there will come a time to rest, but not today. Tennis is a beautiful game, a gentleman's game. My parents taught me that.
And we have the good fortune of having Rohan's parents. Could you please join us on stage, Mr. and Mrs. Bopanna? So firstly, congratulations.
Thank you.
So could you tell us a little bit about young Rohan? We heard a lot from him. Would love to hear from you.
Good evening to everybody. Before I start, I would like to say a few words to Rohan. Rohan, I shake hands. Great win in your life. Wonderful, I never expected, but you did it. Thank you. Well, he started tennis at the age of 9. I took him to the tennis courts, and then he was with other boys also there. So what happened, we were all playing. These were not allowed to play at that time, at that age. We were playing, and his friends were there hanging around, playing somewhere else, all that. What happened, one day I was watching this boy. He wouldn't play with his friends. He was sitting there. He was watching us left, right, like this, watching us playing throughout. I was looking at him. He was very keen on watching us playing. Then we went home. Then I told Malika, my wife, I told her, listen, this boy, I think he's very fond of games. If you tell him to study and all that, I don't think he'll do so well. And she got angry. How can you say that? And all that. I said, I'll tell you, he is very fond of playing something, tennis or whatever it is. At that age, he would play all the games in school and things like that. So when he reached 11, I decided to take him out of Coog to one Mr. Naidu who was in Bangalore Bowling Institute. I brought him here for 15 days. So he played that. He took a little bit of coaching from him, did very well there. So that person, Naidu, he said, why don't you put him in Bangalore, one of the schools, so that he can come here regularly. I'll give him a good coaching and things like that. Which we couldn't do it at that time because leaving him alone here in Bangalore or we should move here with him, which is not out of the question those days, you see. So I said, okay, whenever he gets holidays, we'll bring him here and train him and things like that. Once he started that, then he started playing a good tennis. So I took him all over to Hyderabad, then Chennai and all those places. I would take him there. We used to catch the bus or train or go reach there in the morning. Morning at 11 o'clock, his match, he loses. Then we used to catch the night train and come back. So it happened for quite a few times. So one day I told my wife, I don't think this boy is interested in tennis. So I casually asked him, Rohan, are you interested in playing tennis or you want to go back and study? He said, no, I am interested in playing tennis. I said, okay. So we had a chance to take him to Bolletary in the US, kept him there for about 6 weeks there. There the coaches told me to leave him there, said it will cost around about $38,000 a year with hostel and stay, training and everything. I said, forget it. I couldn't raise that kind of a money at all. Then, we was there for about 6 weeks and then I brought him back. Then sent him to Pune. After that, we never looked back. So my advice is to all the parents, if you see your child where parents can easily make out what he's going to be or she is going to be, after that it's too late for anything. But of course, studies and all that is different line. But if you want to put them for any games, tennis or cricket or whatever it is, every parent will know at the age of 7 or 8 whether this boy or a girl will do well in this game or that game, or give 100% encouragement. Give 100%. No giving up at all. Well, even if your wife or me, I have no right to say anything to my wife, or wife has got any right to tell me, no, let's stop him or nothing doing. We both decided, okay, go ahead, whatever it is. A lot of comments, what is he going to do, when he's going to do. I never ever thought that he's going to be a pro, at all. Once he started doing well, we decided that he should play for the country. That is enough. That was my aim, but he proved it beyond that. My advice to the parents, in whichever the line a child takes it, give 100% encouragement. They will pick up, they'll come up. There's no doubt in it.
Auntie, uncle saw sporting talent. But, as parents, we hope for certain things in our children: curiosity, self-belief, resilience. And I think we see the evidence of all of that. So what do you think that what caused that? Is it something intrinsic? Is it an environment you were able to create? It's been a long journey, and just seeing where it's reached at this point, what are the emotions you feel?
Yeah, I know. As a parent, I know to start with, he was extremely mischievous. And, I guess I didn't understand then. But now, of course, you realize that the child needs that energy to be expended.
Closer.
It needs to be expended. But those days we didn't know, so we just let him, because the moment he came from, he never wanted to go to school. And sending him to school was actually a punishment initially. If I have to share a story, when he was to go with the driver had to tie the door together to keep him from opening and jumping out. So it was that bad. And I'm not exaggerating. But everything, he saw a ball in everything. From my pearls to the peas to a ball of dough. Yeah, everything was a ball for him. And during monsoon, keeping him occupied in the house was punishment, because my whole veranda wall, everything had smudges of the ball on it. But yeah, and he loved, he was an outdoor child basically. But I was very keen that he has to also study because, you need that as well. And then, of course, then his tennis career. But one thing I would also say is to all parents, make sure that your differences are not in front of the child. Definitely, whatever differences you have, sort it out privately, but not in front of the child, so that he knows that you have a united front. He can't play against one parent against the other, which is very common among children.
So you were playing against a doubles team, Rohan, already. So.
Little did I know that I got to know only later that how United were. I was wondering why I couldn't break through this partnership.
But doubles was in your blood, right?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, he looked after the tennis part of it, and I kind of tried as much as I could make sure that he did his fitness and his whatever I knew of nutrition. Those days we only knew what we heard or what we read. We had no net or Google or, anything like that. So that was the way we kind of brought him. And then we learned a little after we went to the Florida to Nick Bollettieri. We learned a little, from there what they do so that we could follow up on that. And then gradually, and of course, he was like a frog in the well because we were in Coog. So when we came to Bangalore or to Bombay, and there in the club, we were always told, the children were told, no, the members get first preference. So, if a member comes, you get off the court. But here it's not like that. The children are playing. If one guy hits the ball over, by the time he goes to pick it up, the next one has gone and taken his ball. So he found that, a little difficult to adjust. But he did. We told him, you have to fight your own battles. And then we found, certain things that I used to tell him, maybe like, okay, there are no lines people for the younger students. It's only the ball kids and themselves. And then these boys from the bigger towns, they're already, quite bold. And whereas he was more timid at that age. And then I said, I'm not going to fight for your point. You have to fight for yourself. Whether it's like, because some kids will say, no, that was right kind of thing. Yeah. I said, that I won't do. You have to. So I think those kind of things, what we said, you have to fight for yourself.
Building that resilience.
Yeah. That may have also improved and, helped him with that. And of course, when he went to Pune, if he had finished his 10th before we sent him to Pune, and there I was keen that he should do his PUC. And in fact, Mr. Nandan Bal said, Mrs. Bopanna, why are you so worried? You know how many sports people have not? I said, by the time he's 18, he has to finish his second PUC. After that, I don't mind at all. So made sure that, through tutorials, whatever, he finished that before he did. Then I said, after that he can do. But then, of course, I'll tell the parents now, those days we didn't have open school or homeschooling or anything. So, but now that facility is there, which is so much easier. But at the same time, don't expect the child to excel in both academics and a sport. They have to choose one or the other.
Wonderful, thank you. Uncle, so something Rohan mentioned, that you did not project your dreams on him. His tennis journey was his own. Was that a difficult process? I mean, we saw in the video about dreaming at Wimbledon, dreaming of something for your son. But then, like Auntie also said, you left the journey to him. He had to fight his own battles. How difficult was it for you? Because this was a dream that you had, but someone else was in some sense acting it out.
Actually, in 1985, we went to UK. 75, we went to UK. Then I was very keen to go and watch the Wimbledon, go into the Wimbledon arena. So what happened, we never had the ticket. A friend of mine, my cousin, was there also with me. Never had the ticket. So anyway, entrance we paid, but we couldn't watch any matches because, there was no outside matches those days. They were all covered. You have, in the stadium. So happened, I was very keen to go and watch one of the matches. There is a policeman waiting at the entrance. I went to him and I told him, sorry, I couldn't get the ticket. And I tried and couldn't get the ticket. Can I go and watch the match? He looked either side. He said, run. Me and my cousin, we ran. And what happened those days, we were allowed to stand in the aisle, not seated. You can, there's no place to sit anyway. We were standing. I was there on top. My cousin was right in front there. And stood nearly 7 hours. There's no place to stand, nothing. Then itself I decided that if at all I have a child, I tried with my daughter Rashmi. And there she is. She wouldn't listen to me. She was very arrogant. Dad, you're making me run. Dad, you're making me all that. Then I gave up. So I took a chance with Rohan. He was initially very reluctant, but then later on he got used to it because he was fond of that game. What I'm saying is, that time itself, I wanted somebody from our place, that is Kodagu, to play the Wimbledon. Not necessarily Rohan. Once he became a better player, then I had a chance. He had the pass for me, so I could go and sit and enjoy the match and everything. That was a different story, which I never ever dreamt. I never dreamt that he would become the professional at all. I thought he will play Davis Cup and that's it. He'll come back to the estate, there he'll look after. That's it. This is what happened.
So Rohan, I think you should share your Padma Shri with that police officer.
100%. I'm going to find
that's
this
where it all
person. I mean, that's where, yeah.
But, sorry.
No, the only thing my sister and I had is that I ran and she didn't. She went the academic route and she said, so one had to fulfill dad's dream, one had to fulfill mom's dream. So that's where we
So I won't keep you too long. And just to tell us the finals, where did you watch it? What does it mean to the community where Rohan has reached and his achievements?
As soon as he reached the quarterfinals, we started getting calls, umpteen number. Why aren't you there? Why aren't you going? Get your tickets. We said, we don't have a visa. And said, what is the big deal? Tell Rohan, he'll get you the visa. Get the tickets. So we said, so we called up the travel agent because there were no tickets available because we are like asking for tickets for tomorrow and there are no tickets available. And then I told my husband, I said, listen, even if we get tickets, the traveling time is going to be 20 hours. And then we lose time as well. I said, now we don't know whether he's going to win the semi-final. And it's like, there isn't time. So I said, we are going to be neither there nor here. We're neither going to be able to watch it on TV nor watch it live. So we'll just stay put. And then in the club, there was a very nice of a one member to sponsor the whole thing. So they set up this huge LED screen, about 24 by 12 in the shuttle hall. And we had about 45 of our members, all who've known Rohan from the time he was little. Everybody watched it, so it was like actually watching in the stadium. And as soon as the match was over, the whole place just erupted with whistles and catcalls and hugs and screams. So it was a dream come true for everybody, not only us or him. So, and it was, in fact, it was way, way beyond our wildest dreams that, he would come home with this and also being world number one.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you, Auntie. So,
I forgot to tell my family, especially, that is Mallika's sister, husband, and my sister-in-law, Indrani, and my brother, Raja, and Pramod, Pawan, Vikram, and Aditi, and of course, all of them are here today. Without their support, I don't think Rohan would have come up so much. I'll tell you, they gave full 100%. Wherever we did, whatever wrong he did, they wouldn't agree. They always say, no, he did very well and all that. And thank you very much, to my family, especially my close family. And of course,
I think the other thing is that because I think when I came to Bangalore, there were the families who I could stay with. one of my friends here, Sriranga, he's here. He was, the top junior. And along my contemporary, there was a guy called Suraj Sachidanand. And, my cousin Pramod used to come a lot of matches. And Suraj used to just love beating players without giving them games. Love. I mean, it used to be a constant thing. And then from somewhere, one day I remember I'm staying with my aunt Indrani in their house, and I came back and I said, I actually won the match. I beat Suraj, and then nobody believed me because I lost him so many times, and they had to wait to the newspaper to come out next day, and the results were printed, and that's when they actually believed that I was ready to go for the match. So yeah, but I think apart from that Suraj or Sriranga's name, when they saw it, I think they were okay, confident where everything I had a chance. Yeah, but coming back to you, Nandan, I mean, there are no, words which can just say enough thank you to, my parents, with the way they have brought me up. I think so many things in this journey, apart from the tennis side, just the way to conduct yourself, on wherever you are, to do the right thing. I think one of the points at the US Open where the ball brushed my hand and I called it upon myself, I think it comes from right there, from this upbringing. I think, the other... they've always taught me to, do the right thing, say the right thing. I think that is where me as a person also grew a lot, is to find what the right ways, right pathways, and to then decide whether I want to play tennis or play the sport. Do the right thing, no matter what happens. Wake up, go to practice, do the kind of fitness, get your proper sleep right. That all, I think, came, from these two people, and I'm really thankful for both mom, dad, and my sister who's here. Even though she was traveling quite a bit, stayed in a lot of hostels, but she always supported me. She used to watch my matches before. Now she's just superstitious. She doesn't watch my matches. Yeah, I think now I have a few people who do that, but so I think extremely thankful for this journey. I don't think, if this support was not there, the family support was not there, I don't think your journey even can begin. So, extremely, and, unfortunately, my dad's brother is not here anymore. I think Uncle Raja, my Balyapa, I call him, I mean, he was very, very special. I mean, I think literally another dad, for me growing up, and every time he was the first one used to call, and, because by the time I got calling to Coog, trunk calling and reaching and getting there from the STD booth, it was easier to get to my, uncle first. And, so all these people played, such a major part, in my journey. And, so I'm extremely grateful and thankful to them in every single way.
Thank you.
And most importantly, my daughter-in-law, Supriya, and my grandchild, Trida. Without Supriya's support, I don't think Rohan would have reached this place at all.
Full support from her.
And
although she learned the game after getting married to Rohan, but she has understood the journey so well and stood by him and supported him completely.
Nandan, thank you very much. Thank you to all Go Sports people around. Thanks a lot. This is an opportunity for us to talk to you all. Thank you all.
So back to you, Rohan. So I've got some secret footage of this is your knee. So there's no cartilage left in this knee, which is also quite emblematic of the amount of support you had through your 20s. How did you stand on your 2 feet through those times where there was no support?
I think, just looking at those pictures, it looks scary. Yeah. I think those years of, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, not doing the right kind of fitness, right kind of training, took a toll, on my legs, on those, constantly running on hard surfaces, not level surfaces, eventually not knowing, what is the right thing to do, took a serious toll on the body. Back in 2006, I even went through a shoulder surgery. I was out for 6 months, and that was also a tough time, not knowing, whether this journey is going to even start or. But what actually helped in every single part of this is having the right kind of people around you. Just to make you understand that there is still hope, there is still a journey. Because when you go through something like this, the first thing is, what do I do next? What am I going to do if I can't play what I've learned for 20, 30 years? Now, what am I going to do next? So this, I got to know in 2019 when I was in Stuttgart. I was playing a tournament, and my knees were really, really paining. And so the ATP physio there said, let's, send you to the doctor, get an MRI done. And sure enough, they saw both my knees had no cartilages left anymore, and it was fully worn out, especially my left knee, which was, which had nothing there. And so they told me try, just before Wimbledon, it was a grass court season, try some hyaluronic injections, maybe it'll work. The only thing, those injections it was super, super expensive. It didn't really work. But anyway, I said, I was, someone who always wanted to try and find ways to do it. And when I came in, back in Bangalore, I was talking to my doctor here, Madan Balal, and he said, there's a PRP we can try, platelet-rich plasma injections, and see how that goes. He said, we can try these injections, but it's not that you're going to wake up next day and straight away start playing and everything will be fine. What the most important part is to start strengthening after that. So I did try to start strengthening a little bit, but I was not focused, and I immediately went back into playing. In some way or the other, I think that pandemic break was a blessing in disguise for me, because getting a 4-month break was not easy. It's never happened, on the tour. And then my cousin sister, my dad's sister's daughter, Jyoti, she's a yoga teacher. So I spoke to her, and I told her this is the condition I had. And she said the yoga she teaches, unfortunately, won't work, for me. So I need to find somebody who does Iyengar yoga. So I did some research, and thankfully there was this place called the Practice Room, which was right next to my house. It was run by Mohan and Jaya, who were running this Iyengar yoga place. And I called them and I said, this is my condition. And I said, I want to know if there's any possibility to, help me in this. They actually called me the very next day, and they said, it is something new for us, but we're up to the challenge. So we'd like you to, start coming over. Thankfully, it was walking distance, and I went 4 times a week, about 90-minute sessions for a good 3 months. So that, because the doctor said the main things for me is to strengthen my quads, glutes, hamstrings, so that the load is not there on the knee. And that is where I think the Iyengar yoga really kind of helped. It was not, every time I went to the gym and I started lifting weights, it was really, really painful. So both Jaya and Mohan found new techniques to start strengthening my muscles, inch by inch, but without loading any pressure onto the knees. And that kind of really started the belief again that I could, start maybe playing, because I was slowly, after a couple of months, I realized the pain had decreased significantly. And after the knees, they said, let's also focus a lot on your back, on your, mainly your spine, because playing tennis, it got a little hunch. So started working on that. And I feel overall, I started feeling better, started becoming calmer mentally. and I didn't feel rushed on the tennis court. I felt somewhere that has played a major part, in the success today I've had is, and I constantly, and when I travel, I wish, Mohan traveled with me for tournaments, and since I already have a physio coach, traveling, it is going to be quite expensive having 3-4 people around. But every time I went there, so Mohan said, let's do some online classes. And I gave them a feedback straight away. Online doesn't work for me. It is, just something. So what they suggested was every time I went there, maybe took a picture of the room, what chairs or, tables I had. And they actually incorporated and gave me a few exercises to follow and just maintain the basic things when I travel I could do, and I think that was truly a game changer with doing that PRP and then constantly finding a new way to train. And today I can say that is the only training I do. I don't really go to the gym at all. I don't spend hours like all the other guys do. I do training what is needed for me as an athlete to improve in today's sport. And I think that is what has made the change and really brought that belief back in me.
Fantastic. Through the 20s, when you were in your 20s, did you ever feel like giving up? There was tough challenges. You were playing singles, like your father said, losing first round, having to travel again. What were those days like?
I think extremely lonely. Because when you're traveling and your close friends in the academy are doing well, they're in the quarterfinals, they're in the semifinals, but you're just losing first round, but you're just hanging around, with them just to have that company. And just, I looked at it as I was one of the players who was just filling the draw. Not really, doing so much. And yeah, so even when I had my shoulder surgery in 2006, even though I played Davis Cup in 2002 and played few years, even then I thought, okay, maybe this could be the end of it, because 6 months you're sitting at home, absolutely doing nothing. And I still remember I was staying in Coxtown, and I'd done my surgery in Bombay with Dr. Anand Joshi, and I was doing rehab here, and it was all the way in Jayanagar. And every single morning I used to take the auto, go there, do my rehab, because somewhere in back of my mind I said, let's do what it needs to be done, and then, really see how I can get better. And I think that's when I started focusing on, when I start travel again, I need to invest in myself in a physio. That was something which is extremely important. One of the first physios who really traveled with me was Shamal Walabji. He was one of the guys who was traveling with me. And then there was Yash Pandey and then Gaurang Shukla. These two guys also traveled with me consistently, along with my coach Scott Davidoff, who has been a significant major role in these tough moments when you have these doubts, to have somebody as a mentor, speak to them, and they give you proper advice. I think you need these kind of right people, and I think just investing in myself, was the most important and the best thing I ever did. And I didn't really wait to see will there be sponsors, because maybe if that happens, yes, that'll be a brilliant thing. But till then, I'm not going to wait for it. I'm going to find whatever possible way to invest in myself. It was extremely expensive. It still is extremely expensive. But these are the small things which needed the change in order to, get me to a higher level.
Fantastic, Rohan. So, Rohan, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. This is a newspaper article from February 14th, 2011. So it says 10 most eligible girls and boys. So congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Nandan. That's amazing. We're still there.
Yeah. And 2 lucky girls in the audience as well. Yeah. But what made you change from singles to doubles?
Great partnerships make you change that, and I found a beautiful partner in that part of journey, and sitting right here, Supriya. I'll tell you an interesting story. Actually, there was this really fun entertainment place down on 12th Main called Cirrus. Yeah, there you go. A lot of people know it. My cousin here somehow convinced me to invest in it. Yeah, but I'll come back to the investment part later. But but the World Cup final was on, and just before the final, just giving you a little bit of story. Shamal and me had had a bet, not more like a bet, it was more an incentive. If I ever made a quarterfinals, we both would shave our heads. So that year in 2010, I made my first quarterfinals with Esamullah Qureshi at Wimbledon. My parents were there as well, and we lost the match in the quarterfinals. I went to the locker room at Wimbledon. Right next to the locker room, there is a barber shop. So, constantly all these players trying to get a new look. And Shamal and me went straight into the barber shop and we shaved our heads. I can still picture my mom's shock of, because she had just watched the 2-hour tennis match and a full set of hair. And then when she met me after the match, and I think she looked at least 3 times to make sure that it was her son she was looking at, because it was a white, bald head. So anyway, coming back to Bangalore, so the World Cup final was on, and I came to watch it at Cirrus. Luckily for me, Supriya and her cousin Sailata also came, who's also here, came to watch that match. And Pramod knew Supriya and introduced me to her, and she actually thought, and introducing Rohan, my cousin, and she thought the baldness ran in the family. No, so I think I don't know. My in-laws are sitting here. I don't know if they are happy with that. They sent their daughter there on that particular day. But yeah, that's where I first met her. And then that evening, I think I told my cousin, and I said, that girl you introduced to me to is extremely beautiful. Can you try and set up more meetings? But unfortunately, that took a while because I was also traveling. Then somehow Facebook was there. I connected with Supriya, got in touch with her, and
rest is history.
Rest is history, as I must say. So yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about this moment, Rohan. French Open, your first Grand Slam. What were the emotions then? And lots has happened since, but.
Yeah, I think extremely special. As an athlete, you dream to become your best player in your neighborhood when you start a sport. For me, tennis there. I want to be the best player in Coorg, and then trying to be the best player in the state, and then eventually the country. And once you're getting better, your goals are increasing. And I always believed in short-term goals, even though I had a long-term goal, yes, to win the Grand Slams. But I think the most important factor was when I broke it down and I said, okay, let's achieve the first steps before getting to, a Grand Slam. And I really feel, making that final at US Open in 2010, and that's where it was a personal goal. Yes, I need to win a Grand Slam. And, the minute this happened, it was absolutely amazing, because as a tennis player, you want to win a Grand Slam. Of course, it's not like when you start off tennis, you're looking at whether it's singles, doubles, or mixed. At the end of the day, you want to win a Grand Slam. And, thankfully, I had a great partner, Gabriela Dabrowski from Canada. It was her first Grand Slam as well. And so I think it was really, really nice. I mean, as I mentioned in my speech in Australia, my in-laws were there in 2017 and in 2024. Both times, they came and witness that live. But anytime I think you have family, friends, as with you watching this, it's beautiful. And I think the belief started getting better when I won this Grand Slam, and this was my main focus. And one of the reasons I actually pulled out of mixed doubles this year was to really focus on the men's doubles Grand Slam.
Fantastic, Ron. Just briefly about Indian tennis, world tennis. It's really set up for the champions, not the contenders. Professionally, very difficult sport to succeed at. Do you have any thoughts on how the commercial game is structured and any different ways this can be done? I mean, you have gone through that journey, like you said, invested in yourself, but it's a tough slog, right? If you're not up there, very difficult to make a professional career.
No, I think it is extremely difficult, and I think what we really can change is a good structural coaching system. I think I take cricket for an example, because they have a great structure in place, whether it is under 14, under 17, under 19, and then you kind of get into Indian team, or you have the leagues in place. So that, I think all sports kind of needs, to build that long journey, that vehicle, and also a lot of support from, thankfully you have a great foundation you're part of, which is supporting so many athletes. I think we all need that. Tennis, the number one thing is to bring tournaments, I think, to the country. Already it's an expensive sport, and now I'm trying to always travel outside the country to play a tournament. I mean, there is no ATP tournament in India for me to play at today. I mean, being world number one, I cannot even play a tournament in the country, which is sad, which is really sad. And, I really feel that is something we need to change. And I also would love to see which Indian athlete is representing India across the world for their competition to be telecasted in India. This is something what inspires the next generation to also pick up a sport. The cricket today is grown because we're able to watch each and every match out there. So I think if that didn't happen, cricket would not be as popular as what it is today. I think, so similarly, I think every sport needs that. I'm constantly trying to find a way, of doing that. They tell me that, yes, because there is only one Indian playing, they don't want to show. But I'm looking at the other way, saying there is an Indian playing, so let's show it. And I think that is where, all these young kids can really get inspired from. I mean, even for me, growing up, here, if there was some sport you're watching, yes, you go in out of the house, you come and watch. But if there's an Indian watching, there is that extra interest in some way or the other. Even if you don't know that sport, somewhere you're going to sit and you're vested in it. And I think that is where I think we can bring a big change, to the sport.
Absolutely. And yesterday, I think, Rohan, your former doubles mate Aisam became the president of the Pakistan Tennis Association. So perhaps there's a journey along that route as well.
No, absolutely. I think it's incredible. He's been a great ambassador for the sport in Pakistan. He's unlike India, at least we have few more players. He's been the lone flag bearer, and I think it's amazing what he has done. And I'm glad that he's become the president of the Pakistan Tennis Federation, because I really feel that he can bring a lot of changes, and also a country which needs some inspiration from sports. And he's been a dear friend for 25 years. So we are constantly in touch. Recently when I won, he congratulated me, sent me a lovely message, and to get messages from your friends, peers, I think it's beautiful. It's really nice. They also appreciate this journey. They also have seen you in that locker room for 15, 20 years. Majority of the players today who are playing the ATP circuit have come into the ATP circuit after me. So they all understand the beauty of the sport in tennis and the locker rooms, that no matter what ranking you are, you're all sharing the same locker room, the same dining space. And, you see the growth, you see the encouragement, and you constantly, no matter who it is, whether Roger Federer or Rafa Nadal, he never became Roger Federer or Rafa Nadal when he started. I mean, he was still the same person, but grew along the way with all his laurels. And I think that is where the real inspiration begins. And I was very happy to actually receive so many messages from a lot of the peers who I'm still playing with. and also who have finished their career and coaches, and they said they're also still inspired to maybe make a comeback.
So you said even Rafa messaged you, and I think your achievement meant a lot to your tennis community as well. So
No, I think, like I said, it's a 15, 20 years when you know these guys, they also have a personal connect. Actually, Rafa Nadal personally sent me a message, not on social media. I mean, just send me a WhatsApp message to congratulate me. And, Novak was there when I, won the Grand Slam. He also came up and personally congratulated me. So it feels special, because they've also seen the struggles. They've also seen this journey, and I've played against them a bunch of times. So they have respect for, each other there. And, it's a amazing feeling, to get those messages.
I'm going to show you a short video. Rohan talked about it briefly, but watch it.
This is an incredible bit of sportsmanship here.
You said there was you want to give the point to them.
Yeah, obviously I started touch, so obviously I'm giving the point, right?
So,
That's fantastic
ladies and
sportsmanship.
gentlemen, that's a good sportsmanship. Mr. Bopanna up the mid. The ball touched his arm. The team would like to give the point to Ram and Salisbury.
Bopanna just admitting that this forehand from Matt Ebden as it whipped across court just grazed his arm with right arm. Oh, wow. I mean, nobody saw it. The umpire didn't call it, but that is fantastic sportsmanship. Holding up his hand and awarding the point to the opponents.
Amen, Colin. Before I answer that, I just gotta say one thing. Matt and I, we've gone back a long time, but Rohan and I are real close, and that act of sportsmanship today, what he did out on the court. I mean, we've been playing for the better part of 20 or 25 years on tour together. I know for sure I've never seen something like that, especially in a moment like this. We would have had no idea. Just shows what kind of guy he is and how deserving he is to, at this point in his career, be playing for these titles. So, Bopes, you're an inspiration to all of us, absolutely.
So just the context here, at this point, Rohan has not won a men's Grand Slam. This is the US Open last year. Third set, you guys are down. None of that comes into your mind, making this decision?
I don't think at all. Never did. I mean, if I was match point down, I would still call it upon myself. It's my first instinct. I think I was, like I said earlier, it was the way I was brought up to do the right thing. And the minute it touched my hand, I knew it. Like Rajiv mentioned, I don't think he said that no one even knew that happened, but I slept better knowing that I'd accepted that day, and than if I'd not admitted it on that day, I'd have definitely felt way worse.
So I think what I took away there, Rohan, is you may not be world number one every day, but you can be world number one to yourself, right? And I think incredible sportsmanship there really talks a lot about you and what you stand for. So
Thank you.
talk us through a little bit about what you're doing with your academy, with supporting other people on their doubles journeys. Just a brief so that people know what you're working on outside of your career as well.
Starting this academy was very, very dear to me. One of the reasons I started this tennis academy is because it was really dear to me because I always wanted to give back to the sport. I mean, this sport has taught me so much, and I really feel that is something I missed as a youngster, to to have somebody to connect with, your seniors in some way to find, the pathway or share that journey. And I wanted to start this academy in order to really connect with the players coming up. And I wanted to share my experience on what they should do correctly, or if they're doing something, whether it should be changed or not. And one of the first times I got on board of starting this, I said the most important part is we need to focus on fitness, because that is something we've always somewhere missed out on. And I feel even till today, when I look at a lot of the kids who come and join the academy, they have good hand-eye coordination skills, but the athletic abilities is not as good. Their movement and a sport like tennis, that is something which was really needed. So I said, let's build a structure in place and start an academy. Today, the academy has about 80 plus students in Kanakpura. It has boarding, lodging, education, and tennis. It's part of the sports school. And that's why we wanted to start this as well, because I felt going back to Pune days where I was traveling so much just to find a place to train, and then also when my mom said she wanted me to study, that was in Coorg. So I wanted to bring a structure where we could fit in and give students everything out there. I mean, today all of us do 6, 8, 10 months of research to finding the best education schools. But when it comes to sport, we want it right next to our house. So this is what I want them as parents. If you want your kids to become the best athletes, you need to send them to the best sporting schools as well, because that is what you need to do the research simultaneously. And the other thing also I wanted to bring and educate a lot of the parents is that I call them the fence coaches, because anytime they bring the kid to the academy, the parents are outside on the fence and they're also coaching simultaneously. But I would love to know if any one of y'all, please raise your hand on this, if any one of y'all ever went to a classroom and told the class teacher what to teach. But when it comes to sport, we all want to teach our kids sport. So when you enroll your kid to the academy, you have to trust the coaches. That is where I think my parent played a significant role. They left me in Pune and they went back to Coorg and they didn't even bother about that. And I think that is where truly, my success came from. And I really feel that this is what I want to bring in. And apart from, regular coaching, what we also started is, since today India has produced so many doubles players, there are a few more doubles players ranked from, a couple of years ago. They were ranked about 200, 300 in the world. A few of them ranked, maybe top 100 or 150. So I said, let's bring in a structure of providing them a coach and a physio to travel with. So I reached out, got a sponsor for them to fund coaches and physios to travel with these players. And today we have about almost 10, 12 players ranked from 60, which is Yuki Bambri, to all the way to Nikki Punachar, Ritwik Bolipalli, about 150 views. So we have about almost 10 players ranked in that range who are trying to make that breakthrough, but just wanted to bring a structured program, and clearly it does work. So that is what we really need.
No, so fantastic, Rohan. So all the things you didn't have, you've tried to open up for other people.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So just going back to that moment, video here.
The best doubles player on the planet, and he's about to win his first ever men's doubles Grand Slam championship.
Thank you. Players are ready.
Bit of history for Rohan Bopanna.
7-6, 7-5.
Matt Ebden picks up his second Grand Slam men's doubles championship after Wimbledon here in Australia. And for him, winning at home must be a very special moment for him. just their 5th Grand Slam together. They were already semi-finalists at Wimbledon, runners-up at the US Open, and they go one better here in Melbourne. Through to his daughter, his wife Supriya, and Rohan deciding that he doesn't want to necessarily injure himself in this euphoric moment.
We're delighted to be joined by Supriya as well for a little bit. Come, Supriya. Supriya,
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening and congratulations to you. Talk us through the emotions of that moment.
You made me relive that. I mean, before I share that, I have to say that there was something really different about that night, about those 2 weeks when we were all getting ready for match after match. And it's not like there's no hard work, there's no, discipline and devotion that goes into it otherwise. But there was some magic in those 2 weeks. It was engulfed with blessing as well. And we all had a very different kind of faith for those 2 weeks. Our language with each other also was like, so we're taking this home. So when we take this home, and I think there was something different about this. It's almost like the stars aligned. And funnily, when it did happen and Rohan hit the shot to win, I remember my father-in-law always pointed out that, I hope Rohan hits that shot. So I always looked out for that, and that was my first reaction, that he got that. And then it was like a movie montage while I was witnessing Rohan and that, the way he collapsed and having to share that with our daughter together and her having to see this. What ran through my head was all that he's put in, all the times that he hasn't been able to get it, so many almosts, so many moments of doubt, so many moments where he's been written off, and how it all just came through. So I was filled with immense gratitude in that moment. And it's only when, after it was all over and people started sharing reactions and pictures, you could see my animation, and I think you could see the movie that played out. 1 minute we were crying and hugging and grateful and just so proud of what he's done. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about that being a partner to a professional athlete, roller coaster, but you're also a psychologist. So how do you manage these relationships? How do you manage your own emotions? How do you manage Rohan's emotions?
I think by not being that to him. And that's the boundary. It's very easy for me to pick up on a few things as a psychologist because of the training and because of doing this actively so much. And in that moment, I don't want to rob us of that raw, vulnerable moment where I have, knock on wood, my clients, but I have one partner and I have the honor to be able to be that to him as well. And that's the harder boundary, which I wish to honor. So when he shares his vulnerable moments with me, which is hard for him to do, and I think I can then make room for that and have that flawed, raw, vulnerable, intimate space to be able to create that. And I think I'm a psychologist to him by not being one.
But Rohan did talk about a conversation 2 years ago where he said, hey, I'm going to quit. But it was a conversation with you and something changed. Are you able to share some of that, or is that in...
Yes, I think it was during the pandemic. And in that moment when he was playing, he played about 5 months. He played for about 5 months and didn't win a single match. And it was new circumstance altogether, supporting, not being able to watch the scores and getting tested so many times. All the athletes went through that. But then in that moment when Rohan came out and shared that I think I'm going to call it off, I think I'm done and this is how I'm going to do it. What ran through my head was how difficult it must be for him to be able to even say that aloud. And this brings him so much joy, and to be able to say that. So I think around that time when he was sharing, I just let him have that space to be able to do that. And I asked him, is it the circumstance that is doing this, or does the sport not bring you that joy anymore? And if it is that, then if you leave, but you leave on your terms, not because you leave when you're on a high, not when you're on a low. And then he marinated over that, I think.
Marinated well. Thank you so much, Supriya. And Rohan, just a last question to you before we end the evening. What would you like to be remembered for? There's so many people part of the journey, but you've also given back to people. What is that memory you'd like to leave with people?
That's definitely a tough question to answer, Nandan. But first of all, I would like to, thank, Supriya, who has been such a major part of this journey and success, for me. I'll share you one on a lighter note, a story. A few years ago, I was playing in Rome, and a partnership, that partner I was playing with, I'm not going to name him now, but if you all figure it out too good. But we were struggling, we were not playing and not getting along on the court so much, and we were losing. But his attitude was extremely negative. And, that is one thing we were trying to figure out. Doesn't matter if you're winning or losing, the attitude on the court, I felt, always can bring you back from tough situations. And that day it was really bad. And I think the first time Supriya and Scott were sitting there, and I told them, I'm done with this match. I'm picking up my bag and I'm leaving. And the first time Scott didn't say anything, and Supriya actually said, no, you're finishing the match. And then, so, otherwise she doesn't say anything, related to tennis. But I think she understood where I was coming from, and, those small moments of any situation when I talk about it, I think she lets me, express it, because there's so much of sometimes rage talking about the match, and so then she, I think, lets me marinate it, and then comes up with and tells me these few things which somehow I think clicks in, and that's where her I think psychology strength comes into play. But you did, wow, okay, that part you didn't tell us. But Rohan, just any parting message for young folks here, but also not so young folks? I think the biggest thing is to not have any limitations at all. For whoever is out there, give yourself the best chance, give yourself a 100% chance, and no matter what journey you pick up in, you have to be committed fully. There is no half and half. Whatever that may be, I think if you kind of put your full heart and soul to it, and you need to believe it in first before anyone, in the family, friends, anyone else can believe it. You have to have that vision, have that belief, and I think that is where, the real change and the real dream begins.
Wonderful, Rohan. Wonderful, Supriya. Thank you so much.